අයිබෝවන් සියලු දෙනාටම අද අපි අපේ මීටින් එක පටන් ගමු දැන් හවස 6යි ලංකාවේ වෙලාවේ. Today we today we are going to talk another topic about local government elections. And the speaker is going to be Bernard Fernando, who has spoken to us about general elections some time ago. And he's got a very good understanding about how the election processes work. And before I introduce Bernard, I have a few things to update as usual. So I'll do that first. Now, we have recently seen that the local government elections were not released money. And then the Supreme Court said that the money should be issued and gave a direction when people took this up to the Supreme Court. And obviously the parliament didn't like it. And then they said they tried to get a motion to direct recommendation to a select committee. Select committee is, they appointed a select committee to look into this and then wanted the judges to be brought into the parliament to ask questions or whatever, I don't know. So again, a kind of erosion into the independence of the Supreme Court. So this motion to direct the recommendations of the select committee that was appointed to probe the violation of privileges, that's what they said, of the MPs and parliament to the Attorney General was adopted following a vote in parliament. Now, this vote was about the independence of the Supreme Court. This is what they are trying to fix. And here is how the vote went. The Pujara United National Party Ceylon Workers Congress voted in favor. That means the challenging the independence of the Supreme Court, basically. So Samik Jalabevgia, Jatik Janabalavegya, Freedom People's Congress, and Uttara Lanka Sabgya voted against it. Now look at this, the diversity. The Tamil National Alliance, the Tamil National People's Front, and the Epni Vigneswaran were not in parliament during the vote, absent. Now, some of these people are the ones who are talking highly that there is no justice in Sri Lanka, but on the other hand, they themselves are working to support that scenario. So you can see that. Now, if you look at another country, for example, this is in Israel. Israel got a prime minister now, and he's got some charges against some corruption. Now, the prime minister is trying to want the law changed so he can control the judges' appointments. So people don't like it. Now, Israeli or Jews, there are a country who suffered so much from a dictator in the Second World War. Now, here are the protests all over the place, now taking over for 12 weeks. So they want to keep the independence of the judiciary. Now, in contrast, in Sri Lanka, when we want to keep the independence of the judiciary, there isn't a lot of call for it, or like this in this country. See the difference between countries and people, whether they don't understand it or whether they don't want to, I don't know. So this is kind of situation we are working with. Then I also like to announce that the Sri Lanka has received the IMF Executive Board approval for the extended fund facility. Now, this is a very important subject, and some are already talking against it, and there's false news spreading around as well. I don't know what the purpose is. So therefore, next Sunday's meeting will be a meeting that will be there to share your views in relation to this IMF loan and the pros, cons, and dangers. So that's what the title is about. So if you have anything to say about it, please do join next Sunday meeting. Then we've already had quite a lot of free meetings together about nuclear power matter in Sri Lanka. And then this is this morning Sunday Times report, and I thank Ranjan De Silva for summarizing what it said. It said, Cabinet approved the proposal to sign an agreement with privileges and immunities for members of IAEA. Then they said experts will be receiving protection from the state for their work here. In case of an issue, the expert can ask for legal services from the AG's department. The agreement will bring into country technical support and euros. Now, euros don't just come now, they know another loan. Then date to sign agreement, not fixed yet. Now, obviously, this is seem to be going forward with the government's approval. Now, we had a poll when we finished our last meeting, and 100% of the people wanted that Leeds take an action. And we have done that. The Leeds, we have already posted a general letter to the President and AEB and also the United Nations. And the APSL will be just doing that. They will be doing a more academic and a scientific letter with scientific evidence supporting the current main view that we don't want this installed in Sri Lanka. So this was summarized very nicely this morning by Ranjan De Silva. And he said, it's too big, too early. We don't have the money. We can't build it ourselves. Deeper into debt crisis, that will set us deeper into debt crisis permanently. We have to borrow again every dollar. Then it's a leap backwards because the whole world is moving towards renewable energy at the moment. And the independence will be lost because we are inviting Russia's geopolitics with dependence of waste removal, etc., to our country. And it will be very good for oligarchs again and very bad for the ordinary citizen. Now, that's the summary about this. So we are taking the actions that we promised, and that will happen. Now, I also want to report that about malnutrition in Sri Lanka. Then we have reports after report saying that the younger children are the most affected from the economic crisis. And we had a report compiled by Saroj Patrana, a BBC journalist, about this scenario. And we have very good support coming up to help these victims, because I think just at least mitigating the effect on these youngest victims in Sri Lanka, at least for the next 6 months or so, until the country recovers a little bit better, that will avert a whole loads of trouble that we may be seeing afterwards. So just see just 2 videos, and it's 2 schools who were supported last week, and they've sent some reports on that. So just short videos for you to enjoy.
ඔයගොල්ලන්ට සතුට අරගෙනද අපේ ඉස්කෝලේට නෑදෑයෝ ඇවිල්ලා
පියෙන් පියට මිහි කත සනහා බැලූ බැලූ නිත් සිත් බඳවා දහම් නමාවෙන් තිලොවතෙමු බුදු පියාණනි
අපි සතුටට පත් වෙනවා නන්දේ මාමි ඔබලාගේ උදව් තුලින් අපි තවත් ධෛර්යමත් වෙනවා අප වැනි දරුවන් වෙනුවෙන් මෙවැනි අනුග්‍රහයක් දැක්වීමට ඉදිරිපත් වී
thank you so much for this kind of work. Actually, even though it's just one day, uh, I believe there's a commitment now regularly for this to happen for until end of the year, which is really grateful. And this is how people can share what they can when they can, so that we can bring our country back to its feet. And I think the principal from Aluthara school was supposed to be here, or she said she would join. I don't see she's here at the moment. You there, Nadisha? Oh, that's okay. So we'll carry on from there. She was going to make a comment, but that's okay. We'll carry on from there. Maybe she couldn't join. Right. So it's time for me now to introduce our speaker. Now, he's been a banking manager at Bank of Ceylon in Colombo some time ago. He's a pillar of the Bank of Ceylon. But since then, he's been writing eminently both in Sinhala and English, and creating a conversation about various issues, in particular the elections. He's exceptionally patriotic and pro-democratic. And all his writings are optimistic, do not want to give up. He just want to carry on. So we are delighted that you are here, Bernard, to talk about
Yes, boss.
local governments. Yeah. So you can share your slides and then start talking.
At the outset, thank you very much for giving me another opportunity to speak on these system changes. Of course, they were confined to electoral reforms. Today, of course, when you look at the heading itself, it says real, free, and fair elections demand crucial system changes to electoral and political administration structure too. Yes, so that's a small addition. That's actually it goes together, integrated. Then while I was listening to the preface given by Professor Chula, which states real, free, and fair elections demand crucial system changes. In fact, I was looking for a better adjective to say. I was thinking of saying truly free and fair elections rather than saying real. But later, then I found out on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, which I have been referring to in almost all of my articles in regard to equality of vote, which says genuinely free and fair elections. They use the word genuine. So, so much of it has been generated over the last few months about these elections. Everybody is asking for elections, but not everybody. Actually, I would say the politicians. The politicians are asking for elections. They never mention about free and fair. And again, we have to qualify even free and fair in Sri Lanka. It is not just free and fair. It should be genuinely free and fair elections. So that itself demands crucial system changes. Not the people should be demanding that free and fair elections itself generates a demand for crucial system changes to electoral and political administration structure. Yes. Having said that, let's move ahead. First, we'll have to see why system changes. Why only for Sri Lanka? We have to speak in Sri Lanka's context. So, as a sovereign voter, only these things I have put on these points as a sovereign voter, not as an expert, but as thinking as a sovereign voter. Number one is system changes and paradigm shifts are overwhelmingly essential for a nation that has declared bankruptcy. This has never happened in the history of Sri Lanka. So this bankruptcy declaration, I mean, as I say, overwhelmingly demands system changes. That is one. Then number two, I saw it as a sovereign voter, the long overdue need for system changes climaxed with the historic peaceful Aragalaya. Now, peaceful Aragalaya is a paradox. Generally, Aragalaya is associated with, taking of arms and that kind of physical activity. But this I am referring to that became historic in the context of Sri Lanka. And it was peaceful. It started that what I am referring to the golf face earlier. That you had, they were youth were singing and they were in a very what you call peaceful mood. They were not arrogant. So I am always in my writings. I have been using this historic peaceful arrogance of the new generation of youth. So their slogans, as we will recall, this is the 225 and go to go home. Those two clamored for system changes in electoral and political administration system, plus a regime change. Regime change in this go to go home slogan. And this is the two, and even for that matter, even go to go home means executive presidency actually. This is the 225 means parliament in the parliament. So both are connected to elections. So both types of election, that is, I'll come to that. We have a 40-year political administration structure for which we need elections to be held. So this is the 225 means parliamentary election electoral system has to be revised, which I did, I think, last on 2 occasions when I made the presentations to Leeds Forum that we discussed. So I am going to go ahead with other system changes, including the administration system. So number 2, why the system change is necessary? Because of this, because it is a historic article that has clamored for the system changes to happen. Unfortunately, the regime change only took place, but the system changes went into oblivion. And none of the people, even the experts for that matter, not in the articles that I have been reading, even the academics, experts, and all that, other than the politicians, various voter-dedicated organizations, they never talk about system changes now. They are very silent on it. They say, we want election because elections is a human right, that's all. They don't go beyond that. So I have been thinking on this. What I feel is system changes should precede any further election, because this election, as our electoral system has been over the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we have been eating into our country for the last several years since 48, and where we have stopped now. Nobody believes in our representatives because we are not the correct representatives to deputize for us. So this action was traced to, and apart from that, this whole process was traced to biased, corrupt, arrogant, undemocratic, unproductive, 4-tiered political administration structure, which is bereft of meritocracy, but it was replete with nepotism over last several decades. That's why they had to personalize the regime, saying that Rajapaksa regime, whatever. So generally, I don't dwell on political terms, but this is the reality. Number 3, with the changing times anywhere, in the changing times, we have to abide by the needs of the new generation, with the desperate concern for genuinely free and fair elections that guarantee. Now, according to the human rights also, as I mentioned earlier, equality of vote is a very important, crucial factor. Equality of vote and the quality of individuals. I can read out from this section 21 from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Under Article 21, it says like this: the will of the people shall be the basis of authority of government. This will shall be expressed in periodic and genuine elections, which shall be the universal and equal suffrage. That is called the equality of vote, equal suffrage, and shall be held by secret vote by equivalent free voting procedures. So that's the equality of vote has to be there. That is, so nobody talks about this equality of vote. Then of course the 225 meant, indirectly or directly, it meant that we are not getting the real representatives under this system to deputize for us. As we know, though some people they criticize the voters also, that they also must be responsible for bringing these people, unfit people, to the parliament. But strictly speaking, it is the people, the voters have to go by the list that is given by the parties. Yeah, I have discussed very freely about this under the previous discussions for the electoral parliament 225. So we must have people individual. Then it's not this the election system is not fair and genuine because of these two factors, which I have identified. There are others, but these are two main primary and fundamental factors: equality of vote and quality of individuals who can deputize for sovereign voters in a meaningful. We are a representative democracy. Even that requirement is also not met at the moment. Number 4, why is the system change necessary? National reconciliation efforts can surely succeed by integrating Sri Lankanness with the electoral political administration system. I recall, I think Mr. Ranjan Disar, in my last presentation, he said Sri Lankanness is not brought up in the system changes so much. But here I've been actually harping on this Sri Lankanness because when you go forward with Sri Lankanness, we will remove these what you call differences, ethnic differences, color and hue. All these differences can be raised when we have Sri Lankanness in our head. Next item is changes in civil and political administration systems are inevitable in any vibrant and progressive society. So that is natural, because when I was in the bank, also when we were not what you call computerized. So when computerization came into the picture, including myself, we were against that. Because we resisted change. That is a normal human behavior, resisting change. But only thing is, after a few years, we also found that ultimately it is the computerization adds to productivity, improvement of productivity. So it has happened. So similarly, any society should be ready to face changes. Resistance will be there, but we have to overcome them and for a progressive society. I think that's my statement at the top of the introduction was that statement by President Kennedy that time. Those who talk of past and the present and past and the present will not be able to see a future. Okay. Now, in the wake of those need for system changes, now these are the key actions which I have identified as the aspirations of principal stakeholders. Number 1, rationalizing the top and bottom tiers of the existing 4-tiered political administration structure. As you know, these 4 tiers are, now on the top of the pyramid is the executive presidency, then comes the parliament, then comes the provincial council systems, provincial councils. That was, of course, included some in 1988, 40 years ago. Then the 4th tier is the bottom layer is the LG, local government election. Those are the 4 politicized tiers. So we have to rationalize that. That's what I see. In a system change, it should happen. Number 2 is re-engineering and rationalizing the public service and administration structure. Re-engineering. So this is the thing that we have been seeing, because politicians and the public service are equally responsible for the plight that we are facing today. Number 3, reforming biased media culture. I have been always associating the media approach, the media culture, in ballooning the politicians all the time and missing the bus, and they are barking on the at the wrong trees, and that has been now media culture. So there is a real change that is needed for our media. If we are going to think country first, the media also should be thinking country first when their programs are aired or telecast. Number 4, infusing appropriate technology and methods for productivity enhancement of the workforce. As you know, I think Sri Lankan workforce have been identified as not so productive in different fields, particularly in the public sector. We know that we visit all these places, division secretary, this division, urban council for approval of plans, this, that, and the other, and they are not at all productive. And their numbers now, I think public service running into 1.6 million workforce in the public service. And as a result, because there were several projects that are coming to improve the public service, but due to various trade union actions, they have fallen on deaf ears and ultimately they have been dropped. This is what I have learned from the press. So we had to infuse appropriate technology. So I am not saying we must just blindly follow technology, but it must be appropriate also, and methods of product and other methods for productivity enhancement, where you need discipline, law and order, all that need to come. Then now number fifth action is instilling country first attitude among the human capital involved in above areas plus schools and universities. As well, but now as we can see in the present day, when you watch the TV and all that, daily, of course, you get a whole heap of demonstrations with university students also taking the lead most of the time. So, if everybody thinks country first, I don't think that we should be able to face this type of dull picture and apply it for Sri Lanka, such a nice country. And it's a small country, easily manageable. Anyway, my presentation is as Professor gave me as suggested that we should dwell on LG elections, because that is the talk of the town and that is supposed to be the game changer. The scope of this presentation is therefore confined to one above. I thought of recalling, because these system changes are not coming overnight. They are not coming overnight. System changes actually were climaxed by the Aragale. But system changes have been, I'm not boasting about myself, but what I'm saying is system changes were in India from 2000, for me, as far as I'm concerned, I have been submitting the system electoral reforms. Those days they were called electoral reforms, not system changes. System changes is the new buzzword that came with the Aragale. Election Commission, I sent a PowerPoint. I submitted my proposals, package of proposals. It was a holistic package of proposals for electoral reforms, as I mentioned at my last presentations also. And did a PowerPoint presentation 2018. Then there was a cabinet-appointed Dominion Lawyers Committee on New Constitution, because that also carries a chapter on electoral reforms. So I sent it to them also in 2020. Then again, the Parliamentary Select Committee was appointed on electoral 2021, which I did. Then Election Commission again to 2021, but that's a new Election Commission. That also I submitted, and I submitted all these proposals to voter dedicated civil organizations such as PAFRL, CMEV, and CAFE in 2021, followed by a PowerPoint presentation. I did a PowerPoint presentation for PAFRL on the system changes, but all acknowledged without any further ado. So that's where we are still. So these were not taken in heed of for all these years. Now, if I may go back, you can see, I don't know whether you can read it on your screen, but this is, can you read it on your screen? Because I am not getting the top portion of the heading. And simple alternative.
We can see the top portion, no problem.
Simple alternative for local government elections, right? Because I know it by heart. And no, if you look at the date, Ireland, it was in the Ireland paper, 26 April 1997. I wrote this in this article. I have spoken about, about other things also, voting system complicated, about this proportional representation system and all that. But there is a heading, they used it as the heading, alternate system for local government elections, where I mentioned to depoliticize the local government elections and go with the Gamsabha or this Gramarajya concept. So this is 1997. So just see how long it has taken, and nothing has happened. I mean, these are completely what they call ignored. Now, if that is the case, now we come to the subject proper. As Professor mentioned, because local government election is the game changer, so everybody is expecting. As the rates and taxpaying citizens are now fed up with the existing local government administration, where political bias, corruption, because we can use several adjectives to define these people. Bias, corruption, arrogance, and self-aggrandizement are the hallmarks. They have identified this as the hallmarks of the present local government politicized system, and they desperately, like people like us, desperately look forward for system changes to ensure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are real needs of the specific locality should be identified and resolved. Localities can be, because the local government is the periphery. The periphery. So, as you know, I'll come to that. Then second one is real objectives of local government machinery should be met. We are now at the moment, we are not going to achieve the objectives of local government. We are going to achieve the political objectives of those who are interested in elections. But that is not the real objectives of local government. Local government, have you ever seen a local government member, who have given nominations on the TV or in the press? We only see the 225 only. This is another, that is where the media culture comes into operation. How media culture, to what extent that they have gone down to the depth. Impartiality sans any political bias. People look for impartiality. Sans any political bias or corruption. In a political administration, politically administered local government machinery, naturally you can't stop this partiality coming into the picture, because the local politicians know who are the, by party colors of the people who have voted for them or against them, they know. So naturally, they will not receive impartial or service from these politicians. Impartial sans any political bias or corruption. So the corruption of, I don't have to tell you, you all know the levels of corruption taking place in the local government machinery because of the presence of politicians. Then simplicity of the system in keeping with Sri Lanka's size. We are such a small country. We can surely have very efficient, simple systems for the simple voters that we have. Then everybody should agree, because cost effectiveness of the system also must be maintained. There's no point in having very complex systems for local government machinery because when Sri Lanka is small, we must be able to have very cost effective and simple systems. In this background, what I spoke of just now, we have identified National Movement for Social Justice coming out with Jana Sabha system, Jana Sabha. So I didn't speak of Jana Sabha in my previous presentations, but I identified later because this came up recently, and as I'll straight away read out without taking much time. They have a vision. They are still not legally accepted or legally established. Their vision has been creating a sustainable state through an advanced participatory democracy. Participatory democracy is the key word there. Then ensuring optimal citizen participation in the formulation of public policies as well as in the implementation of public policies in Sri Lanka. It's not happening at all at the moment. Though through making Jana Sabha the most active form of participatory democracy in South Asia, and thereby contributing towards the creation of sustainable state with an advanced and conscious citizenry by the year 2030. So that is their mission. Their targets are active involvement of peripheral public opinion in the centralized decision-making process. So this whole thing goes on to say you must always get public opinion. Now, in my case as hovering boat, I was never heard. It fell on deaf ears. Now this kind of thing brings into perspective. The public hearing should take place. Ensure active community citizen participation in the implementation of public policies. Citizen participation must be there, so they admit that. So build an active and developed citizenry that contributes to the policy making process. So we have been trying to contribute to the policy making process, but they have fallen on deaf ears. Number 4, eliminate bureaucracy and intervention of political authority through active citizen involvement. Number 5, people's participation in decision making of national importance. Yes, now these system changes are of national importance. So people's participation must be accepted. build Jana Sabha and the participatory structure with sharp and advanced citizen involvement to correct the inefficiencies of existing democratic models through active citizen participation. Yes, it's said in another way. Then these elements of this project, there are several linking organizations. There is a structure in this. Number one is Jatika Janasabha Secretary, National People's Council, that is called. That is very important. That is at the apex. Then you get the Gramya Janasabhas, then Rural People Council. I'll come to that when I explain the methodology. Then Pradeshya Janasabha Management Committee. Then they also have a Jatika Mahajana Sabha, National People's Council. So these are very organized way of handling this subject. Then Jatika Janasabha Secretariat, as I mentioned, it is the apex body responsible for monitoring and improving the implementation of the Janasabha. It is proposed to be established as a fully independent entity, not a politicized entity. It is a fully independent entity. That's why I identified it as a very good system to bringing for local government machinery in place of politicized machinery. So the present status of this NMSJ proposal is that since legal recognition of based on Janasabha at Brahmanilidari GND level. Now I am using some abbreviations to avoid continuous stating of the entire term. So Janasabha means JS. In the next slides, you will always be seeing JS. But JS means Janasabha. Brahmanilidari division means GND level. It's nearing completion. Now legal process is nearing completion. As a result of this completion, after this completion, in my view, independent candidates can be nominated by Janasabhas in each of the Brahmanilidari division. So we have 14,000 divisions. Okay. And the next depoliticized LG and next election should be, in my view, it should be the depoliticized LG election can be conducted using the following methodology. I only wanted to give a helping hand to the NMSJ to straight away make use of this machinery, their proposed machinery, to depoliticize the, rationalize the fourth bottom layer of the political administration system. That was the idea. So I'll give the methodology now. At the outset, I'm unable to see this. Can you kindly read the first line there? This thing is.
Yeah, I can see. I can read the first.
Top down is yes,
Yeah.
the first line.
Yeah,
At
the next local government election, allow each JS or Janasabha to nominate 3 honest, impartial, and socially acceptable
I can
candidates.
read it from that. Yes, yes. Honest, impartial, and socially acceptable candidates. One should be a male, one female, and one youth below 35 years of age, with high integrity residing in the Brahmanilidari division. So this is a very intensive approach to assist the localities, because Brahmanilidari division is a small area. So that the highest vote receiver shall become the JS representative for the GND, Brahmanilidari region, taking up their JS recommendations, issues with LG authorities as divisional secretary division. So present machinery is already there. Now we are just making a small system change to have this real people, participatory democracy in that sense, taking up their issues through this Janasabha representatives. That is also that I will mention how the process should be, and that they will take the issues and recommendations, and participatory democracy is coming into being with this arrangement. Then division level. Number 2, second step, to avoid wasteful costs and administrative bottlenecks, which always arises with when you hold elections and all. Now say now even for the proposed LG elections, they need 10 billion rupees. I mean, 10 billion rupees has become a portion, and administrative bottlenecks have risen as a result. And in this instance, there is no such thing. You can avoid all wasteful costs, and each divisional secretary should be empowered to conduct the election in his or her DSD means divisional secondary division, in the presence of polling agents from the JSS in the division. Very easy thing. They have their own unit. So it is so simple. The divisional secretary can conduct the election. Then there's no what we call election campaigns and all that, not necessary. If the next delimitation exercise will take a long time, we can suggest that the existing boundaries can be maybe considered for the next MD election. So it is a very simple mechanism. I'll come to next.
Bernard, can you පොඩක් සිංහලෙනුත් කිව්වා නම් හොඳ නැද්ද number 1?
එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේකට අදාළවනේ.
Not this one, no. Yeah, you had the previous one. The number 1 that you got accountability, better established.
Oh,
The previous
which
slide.
slide are you referring? Which slide are you referring to?
Not this one, the previous one.
Previous, okay. This one.
Yeah. So now number 1 is you are devising a system to
Yes.
ensure accountability and get the directions of Janasabha right
Yeah.
down to Grama Niladhari level. That's what you're talking.
Yes.
ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් සිංහලෙනුත් කිව්වා නම් හොඳයි මම.
දැන් අපි ගාමිණීධාරී වසම් තියෙනවානේ හැම ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් කොට්ටාසයක් තුල තියෙනවා ගාමිණීධාරී වසම් 15 20 25 මේ වසම අනුව ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ ප්‍රදේශය හිතා කුඩා ප්‍රදේශයක් නේ. ඒ කුඩා ප්‍රදේශයක තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න ජනතාවට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න කුණු සුදු කිරීමේ වේවා පාලම් බෝක්කු දැනීමේ වේවා ඕනෑම දෙයක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඒ ජනසභා කමිටුවේදී ජනසභා කමිටුවක් නෙවෙයි ජනසභාවේදී ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකවල බොහොම නිදහසේ කතා කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට එකඟත්වයකට එන්න පුළුවන්. මෙන්න මේ දැන් මම මෙතෙන්දී අර මේ නියෝජිතව තෝරලා ඉවරනන් පස්සේ ඒක ඉලෙක්ෂන් එකේ ක්‍රමය මම කිව්වා. ඒක එතනට එනවා. ඒක ඉදිරියට යන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒකට තියෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඒ එකඟත්වයකට පැමිණෙනවා. මෙන්න අපි ඉහළට ගෙනියන්න යුතු පණිවිඩය මොනවද? අපි කරන නිර්දේශ මොනවද? දැන් මෙතන කෙලින්ම පාර්ටිසිපේෂන් එක තියෙනවනේ. පාර්ටිසිපේටර් ඩෙමොක්‍රසි. මේක දේශපාලනඥයන්ට ඕනේව නෙමෙයි ජනතාවට ඕනේව. ජනතාව තමයි තීරණය කරන්නේ. ගාමිණීධාරී වසමේ හරි ලේසි මේ වගේ පවුල් 300ක් තියෙයි වැඩි මොනොත් ගමනා වසමක. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට එකතු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මීටින් ඔය පද්ධතිය තුල ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඇඩ්මිනිස්ට්‍රේෂන් එක තුල ලෝ එක ආම ඒගොල්ලෝ නීති පද්ධතියකුත් හදනවා. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට එකතු වෙලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මේ රෙකමෙන්ඩ් නිර්දේශයන් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න මොනවාද? නිර්දේශ මොනවාද? ඒක ඔක්කොම ගෙනියන්න. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නියෝජිතය තමයි අර ගාමිණීධාරී වසම්බල තිබෙන ජනසභාවල ඉලෙක්ෂන් එකක් තිබ්බම ඒකේ ඉලෙක්ෂන් එකට එන්නේ 3 දෙනෙක්ව තමයි ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න ඕන. මම 3 දෙනෙක් එක්කෙනෙක් පිරිමි කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕන, එක්කෙනෙක් ගැහණු කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕන, අනිත් එක්කෙනා තරුණ කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕන. ඒකට මේ 3 දෙනාගෙන් වැඩිම ඡන්ද ගන්න එක්කෙනාව තෝරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මේක මම කියන්නේ නැහැ මේක 100%ක් හරි කියලා. නමුත් මට පේන්නේ විදිහට ඒතකොට මේක බොහොම නිදහස් ඕන කෙනෙකුට ඒ මේ ග්‍රාමීණීධාරී වසමේ ඉන්න වසන උදවියට අවශ්‍ය එක්කෙනාවනේ තෝරන්නේ. ඒක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නිදහස. හැබැයි අපි කියනවා පිරිමෙක් කෙනෙක් ඉන්න ඕන, ගෑනු කෙනෙක් ඉන්න ඕන, තරුණෙක් ඉන්න ඕන. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ සමාන තරුණයට ඡන්ද වැඩිපුර ඡන්ද දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔය 3 දෙනෙක් ඕනික කෙනෙක් ඡන්ද දෙන්න ඕන. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කැමැත්ත. එතකොට ඒ ගාමිණීධාරී වසම නෙමෙයි තව තැනක තියෙන්නේ. එතෙන්දී ඒගොල්ලෝ පිරිමි කෙනෙක් හොඳ රිටයර්ඩ් ටීචර් කෙනෙක් වගේ ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක ඒ ගාමිණීධාරී වසමේ අනන්‍යතාවය. ඒකෙන්ද ඒකත් බොහොම නිදහස තියෙන දෙයක්. ඒතකොට ඒ වගේ 14000ක් දැන් ගාමිණීධාරී වසම් තියෙනවානේ. එතනට මම කියන්නම් එතෙන්දී කවුරු හරි ගියා මම මේක දැන් තිබිද්දට තිබුණාට වඩා එහා යනවා. දැන් තියෙන්නේ 8000 වෙලා දැන් මේ 8000 14000 කරන්න කතා කරනවා කියලා. එතෙන්දී මම කිය ඒක වියදම කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මොකද මේක ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මේ ජනසභාව ඇවිල්ලා උඟක් දුට ස්වේච්ඡා මට්ටමේ පවත්වන ක්‍රමයක්. ඒකෝට ඒ වුණාට මම යෝජනා කරලා සිටිනවා මේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට සුළු දීමනාවක් දෙවන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ දීමනාවේ එකතුව දැනට 14000ටම ගෙන දීමනාවේ එකතුව දැනට දේශපාලනයන් 8000ට ගෙවන මුදලට වඩා අඩු වෙන්න ඕන. ඒක දැනට දේශපාලනට ගෙවන තරමක ලොකු මුදලක්. ඒ මුදලට වඩා අඩු වෙන්න ගෙවුවම කාටවත් කියන්නේ මේ වියදම අධිකයි කියලා කියන්න බෑ. ඊට වඩා අඩු මුදලක් තමයි මේගොල්ලන්ට දෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මේගොල්ලෝ බොහෝ දුරට ස්වේච්ඡා මට්ටමින් පවත්වාගෙන යන සංවිධානයක් ජනසභාව. ඊට පස්සේ එතකොට මේකේ
එතකොට මම මේ පොඩි ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් අහන්නේ. දැන් මෙතකොට අර too many cooks spoil the soup වගේ වැඩක් වෙන්නේ නැද්ද? දැන් මෙතන ග්‍රාම සේවකලා 14000ක් ඉන්නවා. එතකොට on top of that you want these people another 14,000 of them. එතකොට දැන් ග්‍රාම සේවක කරන ජොබ් එක මොකද්ද එතකොට?
අන්න හරි. දාමත් හොඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක්. දැන් ග්‍රාම සේවක දැනුත් කරන්නේ ඔය 8-10න් ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන ඒවානේ. අර දැන් ඉන්න දේශපාලඥයෝ කියන ඒවානේ. එතකොට ග්‍රාම සේවකලා ගෙනියන ඒවා දේශපාලඥයෝ කියන රෙකමන්ඩේෂන් උඩ තමයි යන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි මේක ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඇවිල්ලා උත්ප්‍රේරකයෝ. ඒ කියන්නේ they are the facilitators. ඉතින් මේ ෆැසිලිටේෂන් එක යන්නේ නිසි ආකාරයෙන් නෙමෙයි යන්නේ බොහෝ දුරට යන්නේ පක්ෂග්‍රාහීව ෆැසිලිටේෂන්. ඒක නියම ප්‍රදේශයේ වුණාවටවත් නැත්නම් ප්‍රදේශයේ සියලු දෙනාට සාධාරණයක් වෙන වුණාවකටත් නෙවෙයි පක්ෂග්‍රාහී ලෙසත් අතන මේ මොකද්ද කරප් විදියට දූෂණාත්මක විදියට තමයි ඒ වගේව යන්නේ. නමුත් මෙහෙම බ්‍රාහ්මණීදානි වශයෙන් කරනකොට ඒක පවුලක් වගේ. ඒ පවුල පොඩි තමයි. පවුල පොඩි වුණාට ඒගොල්ලෝ ගන්න විසඳුම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අයිඩෙන්ටිෆිකේෂන්ස් එහෙම ඔක්කොම ඉතාමත් උසස්. මොකද නියමේවා ඉම්පාර්ෂල්. හැමෝටම අදාළ ඒවා තමයි එතන රෙකමෙන්ඩ් වෙන්නේ. එතනදී ගාමිණීදාරිත් මේ මීටින්ග්ස් වලට එන්න පුළුවන්.
Yeah, can I පොඩක් අහන්න? So if say get rid of totally the party politics for local government elections,
Exactly.
then have only independent applicants. Then you'll sort out the problem.
Correct. Yeah. Earlier I spoke of independent applicants, but I didn't go to this level of this. I spoke about Grama Rajya concept. This is also Grama Rajya concept. Dam Sabha, නොයෙකුත් ඔය වදර ඉන්දියාවෙත් තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ concept එක ඇතුලේ මේක ආවම මේක මට හිතුණා මේක තවත් වඩාත් හොඳයි. මොකද මේක දැන් මේක legalize වෙන්න යන එකක් නේ. ඒකට මේක අතනදී ඉන්ඩිපෙන්ඩන්ට් කම පර ප්‍රදේශයේ ඉන්න ඕන රිටයර්ඩ් ටීචර් කෙනෙකුට රිටයර්ඩ් ගාමන් සර්වන් කෙනෙකුට ඉල්ලන්න ඕන. මේක එහෙම නෙමෙයි. මේක තව ව්‍යුහාත්මක වෙලා රෙගුලරයිස් වෙලා ෆෝමල් වෙලා එන්නේ. ෆෝමල් වෙලා ආවම මේගොල්ලෝ මේ ලස්සනට ඒගොල්ලෝගේ පත් කරගන්න පුළුවන් නේ. බොහොම ඕපන් සිස්ටම් යන්නේ විවෘත ක්‍රමයකටනේ ඡන්දෙන් පත් වෙන්නේ. ගාමිණීදාර ඩිවිෂන් එකේ පොඩි කීප දෙනා ඉන්නේ. එතකොට ඒක වුණාම මෙතනදී මම 14000 හිටියයි කියලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. දැනුත් ගාමිණීදාරි තුලින් යන්නේ කොහොම වුණත්. දැන් ගාමිණීදාරි 14000ක් ඉන්නවනේ. දැන් ගාමිණීදාරින්ට ෆීඩ් කරන ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි මේ වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. ගාමිණීදාරින්ට ෆීඩ් කරන ඒගොල්ලෝ කරප්ට් ඒගොල්ලෝ නෙමෙයි ඉන්ඩිපෙන්ඩන්ට් ප්‍රදේශයේ අවස්ථා හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන් ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි එන්නේ. That the real objective is that. ඒකයි මම කියන්නේ.
දැන් මේ කට්ටියම ග්‍රාම සේවක කරා නම් ඉවරනේ. එතකොට තව ග්‍රාම සේවක කෙනෙක් ඕනේ.
ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම දැන් වෙන්න යන්නේ ඒකනේ. දැන් ඔය අපි හිතුව දැන් ලෝකල් ගවර්න්මන්ට් ඉලෙක්ෂන්ස් දැන් ඒවා මේ මොකද්ද ලෝකල් ගවර්න්මන්ට් ආයතන නිෂ්ක්‍රීය වුණානේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ එක්ස්පයර් වුණානේ දැන් ඩේට් එක අවුරුද්ද පෙරලා. දැන් යන්නේ රජය ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි දැන් පවත්වාගෙන යන්නේ. දැන් ග්‍රාමනිලධාරීලා DS ඩිවිෂන් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මැෂිනරි එකෙන් තමයි දැන් ඉදිරියට ඉලෙක්ෂන් එකක් තියෙනකන් යන්නේ. ඒක මම දැක්ක පත්තරේ ආටිකල්ස් වගේ තියෙනවා සමහර ඒගොල්ලෝ සමහර ඒක තමයි මෙතනදී එෆිෂියන්සි එක වැදගත්. එෆිෂියන්සි එක වැදගත්, ප්‍රොඩක්ටිවිටි එක වැදගත්. සමහර ඩිවිෂනල් සෙක්‍රටරිස්ලා කල් තියාම ඒගොල්ලෝ මේක සැලසුම් කරලා බාර ගන්න බලන්න ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ මේක කොමසාරිස් තුලින් ඒක ඊට පස්සේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ. දැන් කොමසාරිස් තුලින් ඒගොල්ලෝ හරියට ඒගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම දන්නවනේ ඒගොල්ලෝනේ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ. ඒතකොට අර ලේයර් එක නැතුව පොලිටිසයිස් ලේයර් එක නැතුව ඒතකොට කරප්ෂන් අඩු වෙන්න ඕන. මං කියන්නේ 100ක් මතුවේ කියලා අපේ ලංකාවේ තියෙන ලංකාවේ තියෙන මිනිසුන්ගේ මේ භාවිතය තුල කෙසේ හෝ වේවා අඩු වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා අපිට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. යම් කිසි බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද නිදහසේ කතා කරන්න අයිතිය තියෙනවා ජනතාවට. ඒගොල්ලෝගේ ප්‍රශ්න මතු කරන්න කල් තියෙනවා නැතුව දේශපාලනයේ වුණා මතු වෙන්නේ මේ මතු වෙන්නේ. මෙතන මතු වෙන්නේ ජනතාවගේ වුණාව. So the identification of the real objectives can be met through identification of real problems. අන්න ඒකයි මේකේ වැදගත්කම. ඒකට ඊට පස්සේ avoid wasteful administration bottleneck ඒක මම කිව්වා. හරි. දැන් තව ටිකක් සිංහලෙන් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවද කියන්න මම මොකද්ද ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ මේ අදාළව කියන්න ඕනේ කියලා.
නෑ පොඩ්ඩක් අර වැඩිපුර තේරුම් ගන්න
ඔව්.
කතා කරේ. Okay, that's okay,
ඔව්.
that's fine. Yeah.
ඔව්. දැන් මොනාලි ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී වසම් තුල පමණක් එකතු වුණාම 14000ක් කොහොමද ඉන්නවනේ. 14000 ඉන්නවම තමයි. ඒක නැති කරන්න බෑ. ඒ 14000ට ෆීඩ් කරන සිස්ටම් එක තමයි අපි මේ වෙනස් කරන්නේ. ඒකවල රටේ නියම අතන මෙතන ওই 14000 ගමේ මේ ප්‍රශ්න විතර නෙමෙයි අන්තිමේදී කරන්නේ. දැන් ඔය වසම තුල ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වනේ අර concept එකේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මිෂන් එකේ ඒගොල්ලෝ රටේ policy changes පවා ඒගොල්ලෝ තුලින් එන්න පුළුවන්. from bottom up approach. Bottom up approach එක තියෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ policy changes public participation මිනිසුන්ට සන්තෝෂයි අපි කියන ඒවා තමයි මේ යන්නේ උඩට. එතකොට ඒක වඩාත් ශක්තිමත් ලෙස ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා මේ මම කිව්වේ අර උඩුම කිව්වේ why system changes rationalization of the bottom layer. ඒක මෙතන වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ rationalization of the top layer එකට අපි මම දැන් ඉදිරියට කතා කරන්න. Shall I proceed?
Yeah, please. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
දැන් ඒතකොට ග්‍රාම bottom layer එකේ rationalization මේ විදිහට සිදු වුණොත් අපිට මේ election එක තිබ්බොත් අපිට අවශ්‍ය දේ අපිට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද these changes must happen. මේක පරණ තිබුණේ අපි මෙහෙමයි අර like Kennedy said there's no point in talking about the past and the present. If we don't know an out of the future, then we have no future. I'm just recapping some of this summary of my total package. What I'm saying, as a result of this new proposal, we can abolish mixed member voting system. MMB system එකේ දැන්ට ගිහිපාර 2018 තිබිච්ච මැතිවරණයෙන් පස්සේ අපි දැක්ක වෙච්ච දේනේ 4000 8000 වුණා. අන්තිමේදී 8000න් කෙනෙක් සේවයක් නම් අපිට කොහෙන්වත් වෙනසක් වුණා කියලා ඩබල් උනායි කියලා මේ පොලිටිකල් නියෝජිතයෝ ඩබල් උනා කාර්ක සභිකයෝ ඩබල් උනාට කිසිම දෙයක් අපි දැක්කේ නැහැ නේ ජනතා වෙනසක්. So to pay the way we had to abolish 3. Those are system changes. Abolish MMB system, abolish preference voting system that is actually more relating to the general election, and crossover that is also related to general election, maybe even provincial councils. And to pave the way, eva keruwot vitarai that we can pave the way for election of wise and genuine. Genuine are a UN declaration එකේ තියෙන genuine. Country first political provision. මේවා I think මේ කොහෙන්ද හොයන්න කියලා සමාජවලට කියන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් we have to try no. කිසිම දැනක 100% අපිට ගන්න බෑ. We can improve the percentage. ඒ ස්කේල් එකේ ඉදිරියට යන්න පුළුවන්. 0 to 100 ස්කේල් එකක අපිට මේ හිටපු ස්කේල් එකේ 10 නම් දැන් අපිට 25 30 කියන්න නරක නෑනේ. And genuine country first political professionals from district wise merit list. This I told in the previous presentation. Of parties selected through a robust standardized procedure. Standardized කරන්න ඕන මොකද total ලොකු area එකකට cover වෙනකොට standardized වෙන්න ඕන. Subject to minimum LGBT criteria දානවා. and minimum LGBT criteria තියෙන එක්කලා හැම එක්කලාම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකින් ඔබට යන්න ඕන structured interview system එකක් තියලා එතෙන්දී නියම ඒගොල්ලෝ තෝරා ගන්න ඕන. මොකද interview එකට qualify වෙන්න minimum තියෙන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ interview එකෙන් තමයි නියම ඒගොල්ලෝගේ තේරෙන්නේ. Cream dila cream can be chosen through the interview system. I don't say that is the perfect system, but there's no other system. Anybody can give a better system that I will be very happy. Laid down by the National Election, it must be laid down by National Election Commission. I have already presented, but this is a fundamental system change sought by the peaceful youth. You can remember when they say this 225 must go, there were actually there were some people all should not go. There were some good people. But thing is, they also became corrupt as a result of the what you call as a result of collective what you call colluding with others. Members to provincial council and national parliament. Here comes the equality of vote. Sorry. Yes. Members of province to province PCs and national parliament. I am putting in a summary to be elected purely on district and county-wide basis. For provincial councils, the administrative unit will be district, and for national parliament, it will be county-wide because there is only one national parliament. And based on the number of votes that they have, percentage number of votes party has obtained, that will be seats will be allocated accordingly, according to the percentage representation. So that is a matter that I have spoken at the last presentation, where PR versus FPP, first past the post. Enabling all voters, north, south, east, and west, to vote for only the party of their choices as true Sri Lankans, carrying a ballot paper of equal value, untainted by race, caste, religion, propounded by UN Convention 1948. This is an important prerequisite for national reconciliation exercise. That's what I thought, that because if that is done, I can remember, I won't mention the name of the politician, from a northern politician said, if Sinhalese population treated them as brothers, this position would not have arisen. So since it has not happened, so we have to look for ways and means to at least bring this Sri Lankanness into the picture of the electoral system, integrated. Then number 3 would be, like, everybody is talking about women and youth representation. So in my view, I said for a start at least 20%. So 2020 means 40% will be there. Women and youth altogether will be 40%. By mandating inclusion of at least one woman and one youth below 35 years, at least youth, we can draw a line there. Among every 5 persons in all district electorate nominee list in the merit order. If they don't have this, so it should be a condition. Now, every time now, so for the last 10 now is 15 years, we have been having this where women participation 25%, but how many are there in the parliament still? Though it was put as a rule, but that rule never worked. But here at this, when we have this condition, at the nomination level, it can be rejected. If they don't have one woman and a youth among every 5 persons in the nominee list, they can reject that nomination list. And maybe there again we can be flexible, because if they bring the nomination list 3 days ahead, they can say go back and bring the list accordingly, make it accordingly and before the closing date. Those things can be done. But actually, strictly speaking, if the secretaries of those parties should strictly observe the rule before they are taking it for registration to the returning officers. Okay. Now, other one is the sustainable Sri Lankan cabinet. This is a little controversial for some people, but this is also part and part of the reconciliation exercise. Sustainable Sri Lankan cabinet. Earlier I put, I think, permanent. Some people misunderstood it, thinking that the cabinet will remain the same even if the party changes. It's not so. It should be a sustainable Sri Lankan cabinet to be formed based on national vote percentage. Like I said, that's also again proportionately, so that the smaller parties too could join the cabinet. So it is a Sri Lankan cabinet. It is not the winning party's cabinet. It is a Sri Lankan cabinet. Again, the concept of proportional representation is supposed to be very fair, very much fairer than the FPP presentation, where you don't give value to votes. This step will resolve our national question, paving the way for our country to become a model 5-star democracy with Sri Lankans as its citizens. Yes. So next one. One is another necessary ingredient is brand the 5-year party manifestos as regulated prosecutable documents. There must be regulation. They must be followed up by a separate authority, regulatory. And there must be people must be able to prosecute them, those who don't implement their election manifesto, because when the election manifesto is planned, that will be the number 1 determinant for a voter decision, not the person. Person won't come into the picture now with this new proposal system changes, because we can take it for granted that because they have gone through a big process, big filtering process. And all those who are nominated are not the catchers of the leader or people who with money, black money and all that, but these are all people whom you can depend on, because they have come through a system. They have come through a filtering process. So people will only have to vote for the party based on the election manifesto. So election manifesto will give you all the details of what we are going to do and all that. Now in Sri Lanka, you don't find this closed economy and open economy. All are following almost a similar economic model. So as a result, there's no much problem. Like in other countries also, it's the same. So there's no problem about the economic models. But anyway, whoever who gives the best election manifesto, people should be able to vote them to power. Objectively strengthen PCs and rationalize the role and fringe benefits of MPs. Now, PCs were brought in 1988. 1988, see, but they have become vital events and everybody accept that. So there were several reasons for that. Because the PCs were given the powers, even the present powers were blocked by the MPs because of the preference vote. Because MPs wanted to go into the electorates in order to get strengthen their vote bank, at least to protect their vote bank. And they went for all opening ceremonies and all that, and they got another vote under the decentralized budget also to work for the electorate, because with ulterior motive of getting votes for the party, not for helping the people, but with ulterior motive. So now PCs, in my view, PCs has got internationalized so much that though I also would have liked the PCs to be taken away in a small country like us, but it has gone beyond our limits because it has gone to Geneva level. No? So our trying to cancel or abolish PCs at the moment looks a little far-fetched. And so I am not saying that they must be given additional powers or whatever. We must strengthen the working relationship of the PCs so that MPs can be confined to the main role of achieving the objectives of the parliament. That's what they should be doing. They must. They are coming from all corners of the island, 225, but they must be given. They can reside closer to the parliament and do their prime duty of framing laws, lawmaker role, and the accounts. They look after the total accounts of the country. So they are the people who approve the decentralized budgets for the provincial councils also. So that is their role. So they can do a decent job by being there as MPs and let the PCs handle that is the next layer. So we will have, strictly speaking, three strong layers. I'll come to the other layer now. We had four now one is taken off. So the other three, the one is PC and the parliament. So this what we had to change, just we had to affect those. Then take cost effective also. In the meantime, because it's a holistic one, take cost effective steps to ensure maximum productivity of the electoral system. To ensure that, because now, as you say, as now say 10 billion rupees for LG election system. Some, of course, politicians argue this is nothing. This is just one day's expenditure for the government. But 10 billion rupees, I don't know. For me, it's a big amount. But at cost and for what to achieve what? Whole general and PC election, if possible, the relevant referenda too on the same day after introducing electronic voting system. Now, all these things may be done. We can. This is by using technology. You can hold two elections in one shot. Then you are reducing by 50% the cost of election when you have two elections. These two are very compatible also. General and PC elections, general election country based, PC election district based. Voting, so any voter going to the polling booth straight away can mark the only for the party. No, very simple. They can be given two ballot papers then and there. One for the parliamentary election, one for the PC election, and they mark the vote and come. That's all. And even the referenda, for that matter. Now, because we will need a referendum for the next item that they are going to talk to you. That is the executive presidency. This is the top layer. I said that rationalize the top layer and the bottom layer at the start. So executive presidency has to be abolished. Because now earlier also I gave brought in my earlier proposals, I brought a proposal to say that we must not, if we do not abolish presidency, but at least make it an independent unit, make it an independent pillar. Because if you have party politics running into executive presidency, in my view, we are not having the correct balance, checks and balances among the three pillars. So, but anyway, now of course the game changer is to abolish executive presidency. No? So we had to abolish the executive presidency. Actually, this was immediately after the Aragalaya, everybody, including religious leaders, bar council, everybody said, I have my articles based on that and they were published also. Because the government that came in was an interim government. So it is an interim government that can always call for unity and get together and then what you call do the system changes necessary without anybody taking credit for it. It's a interim government thing. So that didn't happen, but we have come with a different picture now. At the moment, everybody is going after LG elections. Through a referendum, if possible, same day of the general and PC elections, and replaced with a parliament and PC member appointed governor general. Now, what I'm saying is, to be abolished with a from a specified date, we must straight away, that date must be given specifically, cut and dry, through a referendum. We have to have a referendum. Even that referendum can be held on the general election and PC election day. Because the PC elections, nobody talks about PC elections that have been postponed for the last 5 years. Nobody talks. Even the northerners are also all silent. I can't understand. So we'll have to have, these are the three officially we have to do, more than the LG election. PC election should have come into the picture and replaced with the parliament and PC member appointed governor general as the commander-in-chief, like previous William Gopal level, governor general as the commander-in-chief, and usual ceremonial powers, plus. Now, this is where this becomes hybrid. Executive president is not a executive president, is a governor general hybrid, limited powers to execute parliament-approved laws, program. This is the need of that hour. Because the parliament is passing laws, everything is there, but nobody is following up, and things are falling on the ground. Basically, not happening. But approved laws, programs, and national and decentralized budgets through provincial governors. Now we have a system, provincial councils, provincial governors are there, and there are 8 mini parliaments. 9 mini parliaments are there. So all these vital levers can be converted to a real grey elephant appointed by him, because it is the Governor General who appoints them, so he can direct them. The Constitutional Council shall nominate to get the Governor General in place. Constitutional Council is there; they can nominate 3 candidates. In my view, this is my humble view is that that shall nominate 3 candidates for the post of Governor General, who will report to the Supreme Parliament. Always, Governor General also has to report to Supreme Parliament. That's why I call this a hybrid. So in that way, so we are rationalizing the executive presidency also. This is what I said at the beginning. So my conclusion: due to corrupt, unprofessional, parochial, and confrontational party politics, the country has missed several golden opportunities to put back on track after overcoming uprisings or disasters such as 1971 insurrection, 1989 19 insurrection, 2004 tsunami, 30 years war, 2019 Easter carnage, and COVID-19. All this, we have missed those mileposts. We have missed the bus. Now, the 2022 Aragalaya has paved the way for an interim government. At that time, everybody talked about the interim government, and everybody wanted to get together and make the system changes and get us out of this plight. Then, which is the ideal body to forge the above system changes without allowing any single party alliance to take political advantage or score brownie points in the process. Nobody can take the credit in this exercise because it's an interim government total exercise irrespective. Therefore, we are citizens with country at heart. We appeal to the President, Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, and the entire Parliament to place the country first and exercise their political will in unison, irrespective of narrow party politics, color, creed, and caste, to speedily legalize the above objective system changes leading to real, free and fair elections and referenda, as suggested above, and replace the failed and rotten system of corrupt and confrontational politics which we have now with a clean and consensual political culture. Only such changes in our media, then they should be accompanied by changes in media and people's culture. Naturally, people are also corrupt a lot. The public service and general people everywhere, media economists and can convince and prevent the new generation professionals and the sovereign voters seeking greener pastures, thereby preventing now there several people are going abroad now. So when we have this system in place, actually they will be convinced. They are painting a bankrupt nation being thrown into the dustbin of history. Therefore, let us all unite and make this cultural revolution. It should be a cultural, not an armed revolution. etched in golden letters in his book, so that the world at large will not hasten to pay a glorious tribute to Sri Lanka, but also provide us with much needed economic assistance to redeem our country from its present plight. Because the change is the only constant in life. Change is, because that is constant. Change will should take place continuously. Thus, if there is a will, there is a way to pay too. So with that few words, I will thank you for listening to me, and I'm prepared to answer any questions. Professor, is it okay?
Yeah, thank you very much for that very complex subject you presented in a couple of slides. And there'll be a lot of questions, I'm pretty
Thank
sure.
you. Sure.
If you can bring the slides down, then I can actually,
I should. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I'll
I
do that.
think a few people may have
Yes.
just say the participants.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I think
whatever, anything, any special? Yes.
you can bring the slides down. Slides down means you
Now,
have
down.
to stop sharing
Yeah.
on your thing,
Okay.
and then we can talk. Yeah, I think Professor Dharmadasa has raised a hand.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to, both me and Mervin have to go to the APSL Exco meeting at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I
So
see.
I will make, so it is a 3-hour meeting. We don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
I just want to make a few comments. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Mr. Bernard Fernando, for your presentation. My
Thank you.
comments are these. If we
Yes.
look at our provincial councils and indeed in the parliament,
Mm-hmm.
what we see is useless meeting. When one person is speaking, all others are hooting, just
Yeah.
like Narirala.
Right.
සමහර වෙලාවල් වලට අපි පිටායත් එක්ක වාඩි වෙලා බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා නම් ලැජ්ජයි.
ඇත්තමයි.
ලැජ්ජයි බලාගෙන ඉන්න.
ලැජ්ජයි හිරිකිතයි අසිරිකිතයි.
ඒ වුණාට මේ අය කතා කරනකොට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා අතිගරු කියන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් honorable කියන්න.
right.
ඒක honorable විදිහට behave වෙන්න ඕන. අනිත් එක තව එකක් තමයි ජෙනරල් පබ්ලික් තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ යවලා තියෙන්නේ අපේ රිප්‍රසන්ටේටිව්ස්ලා හැටියට රට ගවර්න් කරන්න අපේ රිප්‍රසන්ටේටිව්. General public must tell them to get their discipline right, do it properly, listen to each other, and do the right decision for the country. I think it is right time for people to talk.
Yes.
And then I want to mention another thing. We should reduce the number of rulers in the country. It's a very small country.
Exactly.
We have too many people. We are spending too much to maintain them. And they are not doing their job.
Yes.
So what we need to do is, rather than introducing more layers, reduce the layers. Then the efficiency will go up.
Yes.
So I think that is very important because even at Pradeshi Sabha level, people are corrupt. So the last, if we want to recover, if we want to develop the country, we must get rid of corruption. We can't completely get rid of corruption. We must reduce. That is number one.
Right.
If we work with that, I think we can develop this country. It's a beautiful country. It's beautiful people. We need to now, it is time for us to talk and get it right. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Dharme. Thank you very much. Yes, I think I will have to bring this matter up in a different way because it's probably better to write it up as a blueprint. I will bring it up later again for discussion. And Ranjan, you have also raised the hand. Yeah.
Thank you, Chula. Thank you very much. There are a few points. First of all, Bernard, I commend you for proposing that election manifestos should be prosecutable documents. It's fully worth it.
Yes. Thank you.
ඒක කරන්නම ඕන දෙයක්. මොකද මේ එකක් කියනවා කරන්නේ තව එකක්.
කරන්නේ තව එකක්.
So that must be done and they must be made accountable.
Exactly.
අනිත් එක strengthen provincial PCs.
Yes.
I commend you for that also. I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I think that is what you said, isn't it?
You're right. Yeah, correct.
I
Nationalized.
commend you wholeheartedly. We have to strengthen provincial councils.
Yeah.
That would mean a proportionate diminution
Yeah.
of the present powers of the parliament.
Yes. You're right. Yes.
So these are two things for which I give you, for which I compliment you.
Thank you.
Having said that, there are a few points, Bernard, that I would like you to consider.
Sure, sure.
Then I'm not taking them in any particular order.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'll take them at random.
Yes.
First of all, mixed member voting and first past the post system.
Yeah.
Bernard, you see,
Yeah.
why did we choose the proportional representation system
Yeah.
over the first past the post system?
Yes.
මේ point එක කවුරුත් කිව්වේ නැහැ. So I would like you to I would like you to take this into consideration.
Oh.
There were various easy answers
Yeah.
suggested and accepted, but the real answer was different. What is that answer?
Yes.
If you analyze the voting patterns, you will find, and if you analyze the voting patterns before introduction of the MMV,
Yes.
you will find that the party that won, that got the most amount of votes,
Yes.
party that won, got the most, was not the party that got the majority of seats in parliament.
Yeah, very right. Yes.
Your own figures, I remember last time that you produced, shows this. So
Yeah,
this was
exactly.
a tremendous anomaly. You see, in that
Yes.
one party gets the highest number of votes, but
Yes.
doesn't get to
Yes.
form the government.
You're right.
It's
This is
another
very-
party that wins that gets a number of seats in parliament. It is this terrible anomaly in the voting pattern that JR tried to rectify with this MMV system
Yeah, yeah.
by introducing the MMV system.
Yeah.
So that factor has to be taken into consideration when we are suggesting that we go back to the first past post the system. The same danger might happen. Same thing might happen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in other words, we are going backwards and not forwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
You see, so I am saying this because nobody mentions this.
Yeah.
The other thing is the caste, race, religion, caste, and so on.
Yes.
You will find that in those early days, see, there was much less racial and religious, comparatively speaking, much less racial and religious and ethnic consciousness than now.
Yes.
Than now. It has now, of course, it has gone to extremes. See?
Yeah.
To give you an example, you see, even foreigners, have won local elections. Even foreigners. Example, I wonder if you can remember, any one of you. See, Doreen Wickramasinghe was a white woman, English lady.
Yes.
Wife of S.A. Wickramasinghe, he won a seat in the deep south. Not in cosmopolitan, not a cosmopolitan seat. She won in the deep south. Doreen Wickramasinghe, white lady.
Yeah.
Then there were also a few instances of, few instances of a person outside the caste of that electorate winning an election.
Excellent. Yes.
You know that all parties make sure that when they select a candidate, they select the person of the majority caste of that area.
Yes.
But there were a few exceptions then. I'll give you one example. Or no, I'll give you two examples, right? one example is the Balapitiya seat. Balapitiya seat, is an Ambalangoda seats are heavily caste conscious.
Right.
Heavily caste conscious.
Right.
You have to have a man of the right caste to win those elections.
Right.
The win elections in those seats.
Yeah.
In one election, LCD Silva of Ambalangoda was put forward as the candidate for Balapitiya, a different caste, you see, and he won.
I see.
He won.
Oh.
LCD Silva of Ambalangoda, one caste, you see, he contested Balapitiya, two rival castes actually. Those two castes are two rival castes. Salagama and Karawa. Salagama people of Balapitiya voted for him.
I see.
And he won. That is one example. Another example, you see, this involves Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mahinda Rajapaksa could not be defeated. J.R. Jayawardena put forward a man of that electorate, of the people of that electorate, and he defeated Mahinda.
Oh, yeah.
He defeated. See, that shows how powerful that shows that there was a time in the past when we were moving away from caste, creed, and ethnic thinking, caste, creed, and religion. But unfortunately, now what has happened? We have gone backwards. We have gone backwards. So these factors have to be taken into also consideration, Bernard. Then you mention in item 1 of the reform, high integrity. We'll have to define this high integrity because ultimately, in fact, when it comes down to brass tacks, high integrity becomes one's cousin, brother-in-law, brother-in-law, cousin, sister. And finally, that is how it ends up. So we have to define this high integrity thing. Otherwise, the selector will select his own relation. Of somebody. Another point I want to mention, you see, another point, we have been having universal franchise for more than 74 years. Even before independence, we were having universal franchise. I think from about 1936 or something like that. Right. Have we really evaluated the performance of the results that we have gained by practicing universal franchise? I don't think anyone has undertaken that study, and it's a good thing if we do it at least and publicize it. You see? What is the final outcome? You will find that we have been going backwards, as I have given you, as I have given one example. We have been becoming more and more tribal in our thinking. Tribal may not be the right, maybe a strong language word. We are becoming more caste conscious, more religious conscious. We are ethnic conscious, but we are not that Sri Lankanness that you are talking about. We are moving away from that because of this. Because of the way in which we practice universal franchise. You see, one of the reasons. I think the main reason in my analysis, these are my personal studies, you see, why we became, separated ethnically. Today, we need an army to keep all these races, the three races together. Without the army, we are today, in fact, entirely dependent on force to keep the country united. You see, whereas little by little, when under British rule, they were building up the Sri Lankanness. They were building up the Sri Lankanness little by little. That is why when at the beginning of our independence, we were not so racial and religious minded. But now we are. See, now we are. Then we were not. That is why Doreen Wickramasinghe could win. I think even P.D.S. Kularatne's wife, who was also a white lady, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not very sure about that. I think she also contested and won. You see, I may not be correct there. You
Maybe
see,
they
that was-
accepted dual citizenship. That
you see, what does that show? And even I can tell you, even I can take you even further back. H.R. Freeman, a white man.
I see.
In Legislative Council days, he won an election in where? Not in Colombo, Cosmopolitan. Where? In Anuradhapura.
I see.
In Anuradhapura, in rural Anuradhapura, H.R. Freeman, he won the election. Adat තියෙනවා පාරක් අනුරාධපුරේ.
Freeman Mawat.
Oh, H.R. Freeman Mawata කියලා පාරක් අදත් තියෙනවා අනුරාධපුරේ.
Oh.
What does this show? We are going backwards. අර කෙනඩි කියපු එක තමයි. හොඳද? You see, කෙනඩි කිව්වේ මොකද්ද? You see, it's very appropriate, Bernard. I thank you very much for that. You see, කෙනඩි එක changes the law, or is the law of life. Those who look into the past or the present are certain to miss the future.
That's right.
John, these are golden words. Thank you, Bernard, for saying this. Reminding us, you see. And, I might add a little more to this, you see. And, when Gotabaya Rajapaksa became president, he created ministries. Can you imagine he created a ministry for pottery? Hattiwalan then කවුද පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ?
And batiks.
Hattiwalan කවුද දෙයනේ දැන් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ? They are all, we are moving away. You see, when there are far more important ministries that he could have formed. For example, we don't have a waste management policy in Sri Lanka. 74 years, we don't have. You see, when he could have easily formed a ministry to tackle that issue. One, two. Secondly, renewable energy. We are today bankrupt. You see, because of Sri Lanka's dependency on external energy.
Fossil.
We should give priority to the development of energy using our own resources, which is renewable energy. And it is future thinking of the future, no? But
right.
he never thought of
all that.
He didn't have the capacity.
True.
You see, and his advisors, I don't know who they are. They also might be PhD people. You see, can you imagine the quality of some of these PhD people who advise? You see, if I had any say, I would have advised him to appoint a minister for the development of renewable energy. If he did that, you see, if he got that advice today, his fate would have been very different, Bernard. It would have been very different if he did that. You see, but unfortunately, he didn't have such friends. He didn't have such friends. Then finally, this democracy. You know, Bernard.
Yes.
I enjoy listening to you. You see, but you reminded me of Greece. GREECE, and the Greek city-states. What happened? You see, they extolled democracy, but you see, Greece was a great civilization. It was a greater civilization then. Rome and Greece. Today, where is Greece? Where is Greece today? You see, democracy has its infirmities. What I see mainly in democracy, it slows down progress.
Right.
Slows down progress. If you look at all the countries that have picked up, you see, after all the third, like Singapore, Malaysia, all these countries that have picked up have a certain degree of have a strong executive. So it is a strong executive is a must, Bernard. For particularly Sri Lanka, අපේ රටේ 3 දෙනෙක් එකතු කරන්න බෑනේ. You can't get 3 people to unite, no. That is the reality of Sri Lanka and the single. So, a strong executive is essential. And if Sri Lanka is to catch up, Sri Lanka is to catch up. Democracy will make sure that we become the don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
Democracy will, this excessive democracy
Yeah.
will lead to Sri Lanka becoming the Vedas of the 21st century. Thank you very much, Bernard. Thank you very much.
I fully appreciate your comments, Mr. De Silva. In fact, I have also been thinking on the same lines. Then I thought, in my capacity as a sovereign voter, if you look at this, can I see the? Yes. Now, if some of my other related, where I mentioned, while abolishing mixed member voting, preference voting, crossover mechanism, and so on, I said country first political professionals must be elected through a robust, standardized procedure subject to minimum eligibility criteria and structured into a system laid down by the National Election Commission. So this last time at my last presentation, I spoke in detail about that. Ultimately, we should be having in our 225 lawyers or to look after the objectives of the parliament, lawyers who are making the laws, lawmakers, then accountants who are looking after the budgets and all the preparation of budget and following up the budget, and economists should be there to look after the countrywide economic situation and in relation to foreign policy and foreign countries, overseas and all that, economists will know. So these are the three main categories that we should be having in the parliament to deputize for us. So I think if this method is followed, what you said about this, and at the same time, the equality of vote should be done. We had to do away with, for that purpose, we had to do away with bonus seats. We had to do away with the minimum 5% requirement. And we had to do away with how calculating the real proportionate representation arithmetic must be done. In that sense, every vote becomes equal. That's what I have mentioned. So unless they put it to practice, we can't say the proof of the pudding is in the cake eating. So this is what I thought. If this can be done with correct understanding, I think that in my view, there's no other way to get this 225 this kind of cream de la cream of the society coming into the parliament. So we have to whatever that tools that we have in hand at the moment. In my view, are those, because those are the accepted management practices even in other organizations, where bankers, also we have these systems like structured interview systems, eligibility criteria, or everything taken into account, and that's very transparent also.
Thank you, Bernard, for putting so much of information in one plate. And even I am a bit confused now as to how we should proceed. But I think I will try to put all together and then maybe discuss with you, and then take this matter in a more clarified manner so that we can take all what was said by Ranjan today also to account.
That's right.
Because I think the local government thing is a separate thing, and the general government that we've talked about before, but we can take it up as a separate subject again. But I think this local government issue is a very important one that needs to be sorted out. Because it's 8,000 politicians altogether in the local governments, and we need to really make it value for money, isn't it? And one question I wanted to ask, say, how do the local governments get money, the funding, based on the population, the amount they get, or based on whatever the politicians give them? The general government gives them.
No, it is not. I mean, in my view, I may be wrong, but my understanding is there is a government vote for local government. There's a ministry also, local government for Ministry of Public Administration.
So that makes it very biased because, say, if there are only 500 people in a particular government and they give the same amount that get to 5,000 people, that is unfair, isn't it?
No, that I think it should be based on a budget that is given by different department. Now, say for example, for local government election, the election commission should give the budget to the ministry, and then they will put it up in the budget. So likewise, the needs have to be identified at the departmental micro level, and then taken up above for inclusion in the main budget. Then decentralized budget is also there. There again, they have to break it into components. And decentralized budgets also to be prepared and then approved by the parliament. So there's a system, but thing is, as you say, these things can go haywire in the hands of the politicians looking for various other criteria, with ulterior motive.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Say, for example, say you have a provincial council where you got a smaller number of population altogether, okay? And then they don't pay taxes either. Very little tax come from that area. So why do you give a large amount of money from the taxes that you get, for example, from Western province, where lots of taxes are income taxes are taken from Western province, and why do you distribute into some other province who is not
Yes.
paying any taxes at all for their development?
Yeah, right. Yes, that's right. The only thing is there are a lot of regional imbalances now in regard to population. Now that is why this what do you call this what I mentioned about this delimitation commission. Delimitation commission, their exercise is to identify all these pluses and minuses of the regions, including the terrain, geographical terrain, then the population, economic problems, the poverty levels, all those things are taken into account, and they even the boundaries are read, and the representatives are numbered based on that. That's a delimitation report takes into account. But as you say, they don't go it set themselves to finances, allocations. They don't
So
go.
the delimitation commission is currently led by Mahinda Deshapri, right?
Yes, at the moment, yeah, for this purpose, for the LG election purpose, he was appointed to go into that. Mahinda Deshapri.
So
Delimitation
is he
commission is
involved with?
yeah, it's a legal requirement. Delimitation commission is by an act. There's an act. It's a legal requirement.
So have you engaged with him to suggest your changes?
Oh, yeah, as I mentioned, 2017, I spoke to him, and I made a presentation, PowerPoint presentation to him and his officers in 2017 at the election secretariat itself, the auditorium. So all this he agreed. All my those the call you what you call electoral reforms that time. And then what he said was, in short, he said, I agree with all your proposals, but only thing is, don't come alone. You must go and join some organization and then make a voice. Otherwise, you will be a voice in the wilderness. Then I said, sorry, sir, but only thing is, I am only a what you call a sovereign voter. So as an independent person, I am giving my proposals. But look at what and what as I mentioned in my last presentation at the tagline, I said, look not at the finger but at the moon. They must look at the moon without looking. So organizations, when you go into organizations like now, say even for that matter, Pafferal and all that, I have made presentations to them also. Those are voter dedicated organizations. I have spoken to them. Very difficult to get a response from them. Any for that matter, any organization. That's why I listed those places where I send they acknowledge visit, but not beyond that.
Yeah, okay. So it all depends on their purpose. Say, Pafferal is also externally funded, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
So they just survive and do what they are.
Yeah. I have hinted on all those aspects in my articles.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I think we need to clarify this better, and then you can go back to and say now you are voicing not as an individual, and go back to the same people.
Yeah. Just one more point which Mr. Ranjan Disila took up at the outset. Basi said about PR versus FPP. I have my slides ready. You will recall that I presented it at the Magona presentation.
Yeah, that's right. We've taken that into account.
I would have,
yeah.
In this presentation, it is there down at the bottom, but I didn't want to go into that. I could have easily shown all the results. I think you were very much convinced looking at that at the Magona one. So
No.
I can.
We have included the proportional system in a neat form rather than with the MMV will be better.
Yes,
That's what we thought for general elections.
exactly.
Now, that's not going to be the same model that is good for provincial elections, because we want people working locally for the provincial elections. So the party politics or whatever, or personal, preferential voting system, or whether we should have completely independent system, I don't know. I think we should discuss that separately and present it again to see what is best.
Now it is here. Now this, you look, are you looking at my screen? Can you see my screen?
No, I think his screen is down. That's okay. We can talk. I'm going to bring this up later because
Yeah.
we have not really come to a conclusion as such today. So we will have to discuss it again.
But in short, it is a professional approach of, I mean, this concept, this is conceptual, that is proportional representation basis is a principle that should be applied for any election for that matter. So what I'm saying is even provincial councils, very easy, because there again you need to achieve the objectives of provincial council, that is selection based equality of vote must be maintained, as well as the quality of the people who are going to represent. They are also again representatives. They are deputizing for us here, provincial councillors. So for everybody, the country must get together, look at a professional approach to have them selected in a professional way. It is
Yeah,
wrong.
true. That is true. But now, as Ranjan said, you see, when people vote for the caste system or whatever, then even if you think it's a equality in vote, when people come to vote, it's proportional in that way, isn't it?
No.
So
Now,
there is a bias
yes.
introduced by voters themselves into the system that you can't really get rid of.
No. I can respond to that. This is I already touched on that point. What I'm saying is the parties are compelled. Mandatorily, they have to go through this structured interview system, which is given by the election commission, not according to their wishes. Those are criteria are spelled out. All the parties will have to go through that, and as a result, the parties will give a what you call cream de la cream list, but that list can't just be given. They must give the preliminary list, should be published in the press for the public to see, and then public can make their objections. I mentioned it at the last my general election presentation. It is not just coming, so public have approved the list, basically cleared the list at least, because they can always object and they are given time to object. And when if they object on the different thing, then the party is required to make the necessary alterations, necessary changes, and resubmit as the final list. Then that means public are aware to whom are they going to vote. So there's no necessity for the public to vote for a preference vote. The party itself has looked after that. So that's a shortcut also, but it's very effective also, because when we vote for the party has the merit list. Merit list. It is not alphabetical list. Merit list is our number one is so, number two according to that order. So if they want 10 seats in a district, the first 10 people will get the list. So party people we must make people understand that aspect of it. So we can't go beyond that. What I feel is that is the best method that for the time being that we can look at. We are looking at the problems that we have encountered over the last, because this equality of vote and quality of people are fundamental things for genuine election to take place. Fundamental. If that is there, I
Okay,
think.
thank you very much. Yeah, okay. We will try to make your voice heard. So
Thank you.
let's
Thank you so
discuss
much.
again and then take it forward.
Yes, thank you so much.
So you can go back and say you are not an individual anymore. So you can.
Yes.
Thank you, Ranjan, for all the
Thank you.
input
Thank you
there.
so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. We'll stop here today, and we have a very important topic next week about the IMF offer. Yeah, we'll discuss that. Yeah.
That's
All right.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity given.
Okay. Good night for everybody. Good night. Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Professor.